let's talk about some entertainment. Yesterday we spoke a lot about the ratings for Gavin and Stacey. Well, actually we spoke about the popularity of Gavin and Stacey, and just after we came off air, the ratings were released. Over 12 million of you watched Gavin and Stacey on the evening of Christmas Day. Those are absolutely huge ratings for a proper terrestrial channel. However, if you look at the top 10 of the TV programmes shown over the festive season, well, it's pretty grim reading for ITV. Gavin and Stacey got 12.3 million viewers. That's without ITV BBC iPlayer catch-up and all of this. Wallace and Gromit, 9.38 million. The King, now that was shown on all channels, 6.8 million. Call the Midwife, 4.4 million. EastEnders, 4.4 million. Doctor Who, 4.1 million. Strictly Come Dancing, 4 million. The other EastEnders, 4 million. Tiddler, 3.2 million. The Wee Kiss Link, 3 million. What is the common denominator through that? All BBC programmes, other than The King, who are shown on multiple channels. Not one programme in the top 10 was an ITV show. Well, to talk about the crisis that is facing ITV with their Christmas ratings, Hannah Hope, who is the Showbiz editor for The Sun on Sunday, joins us live here on Talk. Morning to you, Hannah.
Good morning, Cristo. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I hope you had a nice one. I hope you... Were you sat down watching Gavin and Stacey?
Oh my goodness, I was on the edge of my seat. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was very nervous because James Corden and Ruth Jones kept saying, you know, it becomes very obvious why this is the finale. So I was convinced that one of the main characters was going to die. I know that's a little bit dramatic, but, you know, I am a showbiz journalist. So I was quite happy that, you know, all was well.
You weren't going to kill anyone on Gavin and Stacey on Christmas Day. It's not Albert Square. What did you think, that, you know, that Nessa or Pam were going to be bludgeoned?
Well, you know, Stacey's mum, I've forgotten her name, Gwyn, kept disappearing. I thought she'd, like, you know, was going to the doctors and had some terrible disease. I know this is really, really dramatic. I was just convinced that they were going to kill someone off and that's why they could never return. But look, the point is, as you say, it got 12.5 million viewers. All is well. It was a very happy ending. And these are figures that the BBC cannot ignore. And there is talk of a spin-off. Do you know which characters they would want to spin off?
I saw that was the Sun's front page today. What's recurring? I think Bryn. I don't know why. I haven't read the story, but I'm going to say Bryn.
Well, actually, no, it's Dawn and Pete. Now, they are very much the kind of side characters.
I love Dawn and Pete.
Exactly, that you love them and you don't really get a lot of them. They're always kind of, you know, very much almost sort of secondary to the main storyline, but they really are stealers, and there is talk of them doing a spin-off based in their native Essex.
But then would the others, would they appear in it now and then, maybe? I mean, you'd have to have Pam and Mick now and then, right?
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you, that they would appear in it?
And of course,
So that could well be a good spin-off for the show. And it would mean that, you know, the BBC doesn't want to let go of the 12.5 million viewers. You know, they don't want to let go of those viewing figures, which they don't get anymore.
Yeah, I mean, these are the highest figures for Christmas Day, I think, since 2008. That people have actually... But what's amazing is that these are viewers, like I say, of people who have sat down on Christmas Day as a family and watched. And all of these figures are that, and in today's age of us all watching multi-channel, of us watching YouTube, of watching everything else, that is those are really, really staggering figures. However, it has to be said that there must be some raised eyebrows at ITV at the moment, and a crisis regarding them seemingly giving up on Christmas Day. But more importantly, it's a soap that has been in turmoil behind the scenes over the last 12 months. Coronation Street, which didn't even make the top 10 when Gail Platt was leaving the show, a character that's been in it for 50 years. We were seeing their exit, and her exit from the show didn't even make the top 10 of most watched shows. ITV must be asking questions about this.
Absolutely. Some of my sources were in touch yesterday. They got 2.6 million viewers, which is really disappointing. Like you say, this is the soap veteran. Gail Platt, Helen Worth, has been on the soap for 50 years, and it was her big exit storyline. And yeah, it really did sort of limp in with a very disappointing viewership. And it just goes to show Corrie doesn't have that pulling power like it once did. I mean, as you may know, Cristo, the actual exit storyline was in turmoil. They were going to bring back Sean Wilson, who played Martin Platt, to be, you know, her knight in shining armour, to whisk her off to pastures new, which was only France, a little bit disappointing. But he was written out of the soap because he was falsely accused of sexual assault. So then they brought in John Thompson, who I don't think many viewers really kind of remembered her relationship with John Thompson.
She didn't have a relationship with John Thompson. Yeah. They just literally looked in their contact book and went, who can we get in instead? And it was him, and there was no connection. They'd never been together on the show before. There was no history, no legacy. And of course, Sean Wilson, who was meant to be coming back as Martin, one of her ex-husbands, who was going to whisk her away off into the sunset, a lot of people, it was an accusation that went back to the 90s that has turned out to be completely false. He was unceremoniously dumped after having filmed some of those Christmas scenes. Fans were really excited that Gail was going to be given this send-off with you know, some saying the true love of her life, Martin, and a lot of cast members, Janice Batterby, Vicky Entwistle and others have come out and said that he was appallingly treated and that the soap is in a diabolical state.
Absolutely. I mean, I just think it just doesn't have the pulling factor that it used to have. I think that over the years it's been really criticised for its storylines being too woke, for it not having as much comedy it used to have. It used to be quite a slapstick show, but now it's been accused of being silly, of trying to kind of go for that younger viewer and not cherish its older viewers, and really celebrate, you know, storylines that grip people. I mean, you've got, like, EastEnders does brilliantly. I don't know if you watched EastEnders on Christmas Day,
yes.
Cristo. I know you are a fan, but by comparison, having watched both episodes side by side, you know, it was really like comparing chalk and cheese. EastEnders is still very dramatic. It's still very good at bringing in those sort of tough Queen Vic fights. And I just thought that in comparison, Coronation Street, which was, you know, meant to be quite happy scenes, it felt like watching kind of Sunday tea time Doctors. Do you know what I mean? It didn't feel like you were watching
I was talking to someone who will remain nameless at ITV, right, who said to me that and they're good friends with a couple of people on Corrie, and they said that the producers, they don't care about the older cast members anymore, and that it's all mental health helplines. And it's all those sorts of storylines that they're interested in. It's young viewers, and it's, you know, helplines at the end of the show, and it's all that sort of viewership that they're going for. And that is not Coronation Street. That is not what people used to watch Coronation Street for. And you know, I don't like using the term woke, because I find it...
Do you not like using the term woke?
I don't, because I kind of think it's flung around quite a lot, but I actually do think in this case it's appropriate that they're too busy trying to chase storylines that make them look good rather than storylines that is really good kitchen sink drama. You know, like look at EastEnders. EastEnders triumphed in the ratings. What was it? It was an affair being revealed at Christmas, like typical what people want to watch, that real family drama. Whereas in Coronation Street, like I said, it's all like sieges, mental health breakdowns, you know, wokery and all this stuff that people just don't want to watch.
I completely agree. And also, as EastEnders has done again and again and again, I loved that they ended EastEnders with a whodunit. Poor old Cindy Beale gets whacked on the back of the head with a, what was it? It was like...
It was a snowplow.
A snow
A
plow.
snow shovel. A snow shovel.
A shovel. And then you don't know who's done it and you're left guessing. And I think those absolute cliffhangers, then it goes, it's just excellent. And that's what you want from a soap. So you're right, ITV really is in crisis. They've already had to drop a lot of the characters and reduce their cast list. And some of them have even, you know, gone on a kind of, like, you know, extended break, and then they only come back for their big storylines.
And they can no longer film on location. They've got so little money at Coronation Street now. They've got rid of all of the location shoots as well. Yeah. They no longer leave the studios. I mean, do you think that 2025, bearing in mind that their Christmas Day special, I mean, let's just put this into context, right? The 2.47 million viewers watched Coronation Street, which is an incredibly expensive show to produce.
Yeah, absolutely.
2.35 million. So 120,000 less, so nearly the same number of viewers watched the news on Christmas Day. I mean, that is an incredibly low figure. It's the kind of figure it would normally get on a normal weekday. Do you think 2025 we might actually see ITV, who are broke and in crisis about all of this? And I'm not saying this because I'm knocking ITV. I like ITV. Do you think that they might be seriously looking at axing one of their big two soaps?
Look, I don't think they're going to axe Corrie anytime soon, but I do think that they're going to make big decisions. I mean, they may even reduce the amount of episodes they make per week. They may have to really slim down the cast, because I think as well, having this huge ensemble cast doesn't really help with people like flicking in and out, because, you know, to like Gavin and Stacey, it's got a big cast, but it's not a massive cast. You can follow all of their storylines. So they might have to really go back to basics and really value the viewers they do have and build it from the ground upwards. I do think that, you know, soaps are quite an old notion. I don't think that youngsters are ever going to tune into soaps the way that, you know, people used to watch them in the 1980s and in their prime. And I think as well that trying to chase this younger viewer and do kind of TikTok, Snapchatty topics is just a waste of time.
Well, it is. And the reason that they went to 6 episodes a week, you can see the logic is that they think, right, we've got this massive production up and running. You know, what's a couple of extra episodes a week? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's a huge amount of more money that it costs for extra cast members, extra sets, and extra crew to film those episodes. But if you are actually then losing ratings by going up to 6 episodes, you're not making any more money, you're just spending more money. And so I think you're right. I think there are going to be serious questions, because seemingly they have given up on Christmas, ITV, and I think that that's going to be a real crisis. Presumably, will this be something that you will be talking about in The Sun this Sunday?
Yes, absolutely. There'll be lots of reaction to telly from the Christmas Day and the festive period. When, let's face it, if you can't put in viewers during the festive period, when all anyone does is sit around, you know, after eating all day, then you are really in trouble, aren't you? The other show I just wanted to mention, Cristo, that didn't even make the BBC top 10 and usually tops the viewing figures was Mrs. Brown's Boys. But I do wonder if it was because it was on so late at night. It was 11 p.m. I mean, most people have probably gone to bed by then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure that Mrs. Brown's Boys is a particularly great show anymore. And I wonder if viewers were exhausted by then as well. You know, an hour and a half of Gavin and Stacey, an hour of EastEnders by that point. You're right. I mean, but where else would they have put it? And by then, people are like, you know, I think they've just had enough by that point. They've had Call the Midwife before all of that. They've had, do you know what I mean? Like, that is Call the Midwife, which also got into the top 10 ratings, as I said.
And Wallace and Gromit. Sorry, we haven't mentioned Wallace and Gromit. I mean, that in itself, we would probably normally, if it wasn't for Gavin and Stacey, be sat here talking about Wallace and Gromit, which got 9.3 million viewers. Again, those are amazing viewing figures.
And Doctor Who. So basically, people had stayed watching the BBC for probably like a solid 9 hours. Yes. So by Mrs. Brown's Boys, they're exhausted, they're drunk, they're boss-eyed. They just need to go to sleep by that that point. And so I think, yeah, that's quite an interesting...
Just to add one more point, Cristo, I do wonder if Mrs. Brown's Boys has had its day. I wonder if that type of humour isn't really on brand for the BBC anymore. And I do think Brendan O'Carroll, as much loved as he is, I just wonder how long he's got left in him. I just wonder.
I just wonder how he doesn't go outside and kiss the floor and look up at the sky and thank God that he's still making that programme, because I just can't believe that it's still on, because I'll tell you what, because it's just dire. I mean, it's just rubbish. It's had a film, it's had endless series, it gets a Christmas special every year. It's about time someone put a stop to it. It really is. Listen, really good to talk to you. Thank you for your analysis. That's Hannah Hope, Crisis at ITV over the Christmas ratings.